Welcome to Showdown. I'm Mark Kaysen, and it is Monday, and that's the 6th of May. But I don't think it's any kind of a special day, is it, Vic Faust? No, not at all. But wasn't yesterday Cinco de Mayo or something?
Yeah.
You don't know?
Mayo.
Yeah.
I had some steak fajitas.
Oh, so okay. Well, see, I know something, not a lot. Let's not get carried away here. But I know some things. But yeah,
sure. It's a great day to celebrate legal immigration.
Well, that's true. And in fact, I completely 100% support legal immigration. And the solution to all of our problems is to just make everybody legal, and then it'll be legal. So that takes care of it.
That's like saying there shouldn't be any drinking age either.
Hey, listen, all I'm looking at is the statue out in New York Harbor, because as far as I'm concerned, that statue tells you everything. It says, give us your tired and poor and huddled masses yearning to be free. Now, what we could do, actually, Vic, here's something you can think about for tomorrow morning. Let's bring all those huddled masses in here who are yearning to be free, and let's take Donald and all of his people, and let's send them off to an island somewhere because they don't want freedom. They want autocracy. They can go with Vladimir Putin and live together on an island somewhere.
Can I add something?
Hey, listen.
And when they come and they need housing and homes, they'll start with your home in Chesterfield.
And you know what? They're welcome. Yeah. So you'll probably send them there tomorrow morning. That's all right. But send me the French, because I don't speak Spanish. Yeah. Send me the French ones. Okay. So here we are. Monday afternoon, and Joe Biden, of course, the head of the Gestapo, and Donald Trump on his way to jail, according to the judge in his case. And really, Judge Merchan has been very nice about this. And he said today, the last thing I want to do is put a previous president of the United States, or even a possible future president of the United States, into a jail cell. But on the other hand, since the man can't control himself, I guess, he may have to go to a jail cell. And I don't think anybody believes that Donald can control himself. And hang on a second here. Let's send this message out. There we go. Okay, so Joe, I just sent a message out to Alfred, and he just wanted to know if he can come in now, and so I told him to do that. Yeah. So in a minute we're going to talk to Alfred, who is all for freedom and just a wonderful democratic society, unlike our current president, who is obviously the head of the Gestapo. And it's so stupid. It's so sad. In fact, it's so sad that maybe you saw Tim Scott on Meet the Press, because as ridiculous as this entire discussion is, because of Donald Trump's mental disease, I mean, Tim Scott on Meet the Press could not answer the simplest question of all. Would you be willing to accept the results of the upcoming election if you lose? If you lose, would you accept it? He couldn't say it. And the reason he couldn't say it is because if he did, it would be the end of any conversation that he would ever have again with Donald Trump. He cannot say, if we lose, then we in fact lose. Couldn't say it. Said a whole lot of other things, none of which had anything to do with what our system is, how it works, what elections are for. None of that. And it's not even worth the time to put him on the air and listen to him mutter on and on about what he would do or he wouldn't do, or what he would say and what he can't say. And he said, I'm not going to give you an answer. He said, I refuse to answer. He said, I've already told you what I'm going to say, and I'm not going to answer your hypothetical. Hypothetical. The hypothetical is, if you lose, will you accept it? And he couldn't say it. And anybody that doesn't understand what that means to the United States of America, well, I certainly don't know what to tell you. I can't help you, because there is only one answer to that question. The answer is yes. If I lose, I will accept it. End of story. As I pointed out last week, Richard Nixon lost by 100,000 votes nationally in the 1960 election, and everybody told him that there was a strong possibility that votes were messed with in Cook County, Illinois, which could have flipped the state of Illinois in favor of Nixon, giving Nixon the 1960 win. Nixon refused to go back and check anything. He said, that's not what we do in the United States of America. When you lose, you lose. He said that he accepted his loss, and he spoke very favorably to the people of the United States in walking away from the election. True, 2 years later in California, when he lost to Pat Brown, he then said to the media, not to the government, he said to the media, okay, that's it. You're not going to have Dick Nixon to kick around anymore. But that's different than saying, I won by a landslide. No, none of that's true. What is true is that there are two brand new polls out today. In one poll, Joe Biden is ahead by 5 points. In one poll, Joe Biden is ahead by 4 points. Now, let me remind you, although that's within the margin of error, when we look at polls, we don't just look at the numbers. We don't just say who's going to win based on these polls. We look at trends. And the trend is going strongly in favor of Joe Biden, who at one point was down by about 6 points, now up by 5 points. That's a trend. Now, when it comes to trends, I assure you that the man that we're going to speak to right now knows all about polling trends, because he's on his way to winning a position as sheriff of the St. Louis City. Alfred?
Hey, Kason, how's it going?
It's going great. And I'm so glad to have seen you today in school. You came up to talk to my students, and that was very nice, since you are a former student. And let's see, if you're 26,
I'm sorry, I'm 29.
Oh, you see, you lied again. You and Donald Trump. All these lies, not good. Don't lie.
Your kids thought I was very old. I had to make it look like I was a little younger.
Oh, you're impossible.
Your kid,
Okay.
I said, no, not yet, not yet.
Okay. So anyway, but still, it's the same thing I'm going to say. 29. Okay. So you were 18 when you graduated from high school, right?
Maybe, yeah, 18 or 17.
Yeah, it makes sense. So like 11 years ago, right?
Uh-huh.
You've run for sheriff and you almost won at 25 years old, right?
Uh-huh.
Close.
Yes.
Okay. So, Alfred, are you aware of the fact that you're on your way to a terrific career in politics? Do you know that?
I believe so. And I actually have a political future. Just running for sheriff does not stop here. Maybe I want to run for governor or, maybe Congress or something down the line.
Yeah, you know what they say? They say that like if somebody runs for dog catcher and they win, the first thing that they think after the win to themselves, they think, I could be president.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's really the same process. All you're doing is just getting people to vote for you.
Absolutely. But
Yeah.
you have to bring you not just getting people to vote for you, but you have to bring the message, because people are just not going to vote for you because you look good or you're
That's
young
right.
or you're older or you've been around for a while. Nowadays, people don't just vote off the name recognition. They do their research and they vote off the individuals who support them or the voices that they can be. An elected office is the voices for the people. The office does not belong to me. It does not belong to my opponent or any other elected office. It belongs to the people. And like I told your class earlier today, like former President Barack Obama said, if you feel like your elected officials are not doing the job that they need to do, then you pick up a clipboard and you run for office.
No, that's exactly right. And in this country, anybody can do it. Although I have to say that as everybody looks back at your history in high school, I don't think anybody with any sense would have doubted that you were on your way to a political career, because you just had it in you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that is, and you pointed it out to the kids in class today, is that there were teachers as well as other adults, people who didn't like you challenging the system, who basically said at the time, you'll never make it. Your career, you won't even graduate from high school. Life is going to be terrible for you. Why do they do those sorts of things?
Well,
What's wrong with them?
I think what it is I hear this a lot too in the community. I hear things such as, crabs in a bucket, and from that generation, is just some people were not able to do the things that I was able to do at the age that I am. And they look back on that and they try to deter individuals that's coming up from doing the things different from them. And that's part of the problem here in our community today. But we see across the board, all of our elected officials have stood up to the plate and said, hey, we can lead our city. We can do a better job than our previous predecessors. So that's what we have to look at now. And now, then I didn't understand it, but now I definitely understand, why individuals would do that.
Yeah, I have to say also, in looking at you, and I have an unusual way of seeing you that others wouldn't, because we had the teacher student relationship, and so I look at all my students in the classroom, and I know so much about them, and I know a whole lot about you. So I know, first of all, your character, which is unbelievably strong. I mean, it's the character that will attract voters in 2024, because you're so serious about what you're doing.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And the other thing is that I know that somebody could look at it and say, and they often do in elections, they say, well, a person really is just ambitious and wants to jump from office to office. But the fact is this: you want to go into the sheriff's office, straighten it out, make it effective, make it something that everybody in St. Louis can look at and say, wow, we're really proud of the sheriff's office. And once you've accomplished that, then you might look at higher office. But again, the point is you have a specific goal in mind, and it's a goal that the city of St. Louis and the sheriff's office needs.
Absolutely.
Talk a little about what that is.
And what it is, Casey, I have listened to the concerns and hopes of our neighbors, and I'm dedicated to implementing the criminal justice reform strategy that I came up with. I believe that detainees are innocent until proven guilty, and they should be treated as such. Although they are accused of a crime, I believe in upholding the rights of the people and ensuring their safeties, whether you're behind bars or whether you're on the opposite side of the fence. I feel like that our city residents deserve to feel more secure in our city. And I believe that together, we can make St. Louis a place that works for everyone, whether you're a constituent, a business owner, or neighbor, a homeowner. I think that we need to make sure that the citizens of St. Louis feel safe, whether they're detained or not. And what we have seen in our sheriff's office inside our jails downtown is totally unacceptable for a city. And especially for the leadership that we have there, we expect much more, and we have not seen that. So I think with my leadership and my new policy and procedures upgrades, I feel like that we can move our city forward. Our city is not a standstill city. Our city have made it through many obstacles. And I feel like that now is not the time to take our foot off the accelerator when it comes to making change here in our city. And it starts today with me.
So if you are in this office, which again, like I say, I believe completely that you will be, I'm wondering, how would you handle it if you tell people, look, here are the changes we're going to make. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get this thing on a professional footing. And you got any resistance to it, especially from outside the office somewhere? How do you think you would handle that? I'm just wondering.
I think that we will expect naysayers, and we will expect some pushback, because change, and not everyone can handle change. And change is different. Sometimes change is hard. But what we could do is make sure that they are comfortable with the changes that we have, or make sure it's as comfortable as possible so the transition can be as smoothly as possible. We all know that we all have some things in common, and that is we want a safer St. Louis. So with that being said, I'm here to have not only a safer St. Louis, but to introduce to the citizens an effective and efficient sheriff's office that the city of St. Louis deserves. We are all taxpayers, and like I said before, the sheriff's office seat is the people's seat, because it's an elected office. It's not appointed.
Would you be afraid? This is a silly question. I know the answer. Would you be afraid to go to the public and say, here's what's happening. This is what's blocking success in this office. I've done all I can internally. I need the help of the public to make clear to people that are entrenched in old systems that don't work. And I need the public to make it clear that we want things fixed.
No, I wouldn't be afraid. As a matter of fact, every neighborhood meeting that I have attended, that's the exact same thing that I say. They know that, we're supposed to have 185 deputies, and we're down to about 75 deputies. They know that a detainee laid in his feces, a disabled detainee laid in his feces for hours and hours before his attorney came and took pictures and brought it to the public. And the attorney was denied access back into the jail. They know that we have lack of transparency in the sheriff's office and in our jail. They know that our current administration at the sheriff's office has failed our city, but now is the time that we hold those individuals accountable. And the way that we do that is voting. And I want everyone to know that, your vote is your voice, and it is a powerful tool, a very powerful tool for change here in our city. And I'm willing to be your leader here at our sheriff's office.
Yeah. And I've looked at some of the numbers in various elections as they've come along, and I've been shocked, and I'm sure you are too, at how few people vote overall in some of these big elections for important people.
I think that individuals, and I tell people this all the time when I'm on the phones with them. A lot of people don't like to vote in the primary. They feel like the primary don't affect them. But your local elections affect you more than the presidential or the Congress election. These are your local leaders. This is directly affecting you in your city.
Yeah. So, again, today you were down talking to some of my students, and you really want to talk to students. Why?
I want to talk to them because I was once that student inside of a classroom, and like you mentioned earlier today, there will be naysayers. There will be individuals that try to deter you from going after your dream. And I want those individuals to know, no matter what career that you chose, no matter what path that you chose, if I can do it, anybody can do it. I grew up in Peabody Project. I didn't grow up. My father or my mother didn't raise me. I was raised by my grandmother. And I want them to know if no matter what. No matter what rock or brick in the road you come through, no matter who tells you what you can't do, no matter if you have to go a different route, it's not going to be easy for anyone, especially individuals that's coming out of high school. And don't let anyone tell you that you're too young or you don't know anything or you don't have enough experience. You make the experience. You let them. We can learn from each other. And I cannot say this the most. If I can do it out of everybody, I know that they can do it as well. And it starts with us, the adults here. It starts with us to lead those individuals, to be the voices for the voiceless.
Yeah. And, in the past, I have brought political people into the classroom to meet with students. And very specifically, and more than once, a number of times, Mel Carnahan used to come in and talk to the kids at Beaumont High School. And Bob Holden used to come in and meet with first the kids from Beaumont, and then when I went to Roosevelt, then he started coming in to meet with the students at Roosevelt. And the point is, you don't have to be somebody that's just trying to run for sheriff the first time, to win the first time, in order to come into a classroom and meet with kids. Those high level Missouri political people came in over and over again. They knew they weren't getting any votes from those young kids that they were talking to, but they were there in order to inspire kids to be more active in political activity. And, they believed in young people. And yeah, I know, like you say, you were there, and you were there recently. So you understand, and you're doing that, running for the sheriff's office. But, there are other people who can do it too. Now, I've just mentioned the people who did it. Think about all the people who have not done it.
Absolutely. And not only that, not just not doing it from coming to schools, we have elected officials that don't even come to neighborhood meetings unless it's time to get elected. And some elected officials come whenever it's just a camera around. And that's a huge problem.
Yeah. And let me also tell you, just as an example as well, of how important this is, connecting political people with young people in high schools. I met with Superintendent Kelvin Adams. I brought him to Jefferson City to meet with Eric Greitens when Eric was governor. Now, there was no political win in this for Eric. I mean, Eric was already under attack from everywhere, and it wasn't apparent that he was going to lose his office as he did. But the point was that we sat down with Kelvin Adams and talked about creating a civics program in which the governor of Missouri would come in with me, a teacher, and work with students on a regular basis. And I'm just telling you, Republicans wouldn't do it. Other Democrats didn't do it, but certainly Holden and Carnahan did it. And the point is that this is an important part of political education, which you have stepped up to at an early point in all of this. And I just think that it's not only important that we tell the story, but I think it's important that maybe some other political people figure out that there's more that they can do and that they must do. I know we had a little break there. Are you all right?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you can hear me
Can
and
you see
everything.
me?
Yeah, we're fine. We're fine.
I can't see myself.
Technology is great, but sometimes not perfect. Are you able to see there?
Yeah, I can see me.
Okay, good. Okay, so tell me from here, because the election's in August, which is, coming soon.
Yeah, we're about
And
90 to 100 days out.
yeah. So what's the plan here? What are you up to?
Well, the plan is to plan to work and work the plan. As I always said, I just wanted to let you all know I have a fundraiser coming up on May 18th. May 18th is my fundraiser. It's going to be a brunch at Casablanca Lounge, 5535 South Grand, and I want everyone to come out. Even if you can't donate anything, I just want you to come out to at least see the leaders that we have here, the support that we have. We have had a lot of big support to come out behind us. President Megan Green just endorsed me Friday. Alderman Rasheen Alvarez endorsed me. Alicia Sanger, former chief of police of Pagedale, Eddie Simmons. We have the Tony Anderson was actually my opponent, and he dropped out of the race and endorsed me just last week. So this is huge. This is big. Part of my policy here is I feel like that, we have to upgrade the technology in the sheriff's office and also the policy in the sheriff's office for the entire department to include body and vehicle cameras. We know that we transport detainees each and every day. Sorry, I got to get out of saying prisoners. I want to get used to saying detainees. So
Right.
we transport detainees each and every day to and from court. And I've ran a campaign called St. Louis Safe in 2018, and it was successful for police officers to have body cameras. The sheriff's office is the last office to not even have any transparency in the office, and we see where that has led us to today. I would like to oversee and manage the City Justice Center. The sheriff has the ability to manage the city detention center known as the Criminal Justice Center. And after the ongoing deaths and mismanagement of the City Justice Center, I'm willing and ready to run that part of the office as well. The sheriff is the head jailer of any county. Another one is to increase sheriff deputy salary to ensure that the office is staffed effectively. Right now we're supposed to have 185 deputies. We only have 75 deputies. And I
Yeah.
just in reforming our criminal justice system is my main priority. Then also we want to implement a reentry program for those detainees that's exiting out of prison. A lot of times we have been tough on crime. It has never worked. It will never work. Now we have to be smart on crime. We have to let these individuals know, hey, here's the avenue out so you won't become a repeated offender. And by doing that, we have to give them the training and certifications they need before exiting out of the jail or prison so they can have employment, so they won't have to kill, steal, or destroy our community. Another one also is that post certification, which in 2018 the sheriff's office was recognized as a gray area. It wasn't security, it wasn't law enforcement. After me working with Senator Nasheed on the state level, we got the sheriff's office recognized as a law enforcement agency so they can get the training such as post certification that I mentioned earlier today. And also not only that grants and access to those grants as well. And that was successful, but it kind of backfired with the current administration because he here post certification and he think he's a police officer of any state in any county. And that's a huge problem. It's a safety concern for everyone, and especially the ones in my community or myself. This individual had threatened me several times on the campaign trail, and we know that he is unstable, and it's a huge concern. And not last but not least, I would love to see a K-9 unit implemented into the criminal justice center or the sheriff's office so we can keep drugs out of that secure building. Several individuals have overdosed on fentanyl inside of the jails. Now, we can't say the detainees are bringing it in because we search them before they get in, so it has to be coming in from somewhere. So we have to do better at making sure that our detainees make it to court and make it from court. and we have to make sure that they don't overdose on those drugs in the meantime.
Yeah. And by the way, you know, if you in fact get this canine unit underway, we just want to make sure that we keep Christy Nome from South Dakota away from all the dogs, right?
I'm sorry, Christy
Chri-
Nome.
The governor of South Dakota who killed her dog.
Oh wow, I didn't hear about that.
Okay. Well, that's a scandal that's been flying around for the last couple of days. She shot her puppy.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was crazy. You know, a Donald Trump person. Anyway, the thing is too, that you know, I definitely think that everything that you're doing, Alfred, you know, connecting with Megan Green, very important, one of our top leaders in the city, Alicia Saunier, who, you know, was, you know, a student at Cardinal Ritter before she, you know, made it into the Board of Aldermen. And she has been back numerous times to meet with our students at the school. And, you know, like you said, Eddie Simmons, you know, certainly the previous chief of Pagedale, but also the head of the Black Police Union for,
Absolutely.
you know, many years, and you know, a very important person in law enforcement, and finally, and not the least, in fact, maybe the best of all, is as you pointed out, Senator Nasheed, okay, who has just been a mentor for you for a very long time. She stood by you during the all famous walkout of Vashon High School 10 years ago. And, you know, Jamila has just been a great friend and a really great person who has done everything possible to push along your work in politics. And I think that, you know, when you look out here at all these different people who have connected with you, first of all, it's not an accident. I mean, these people didn't all say, well, gee, I think I'll go for Alfred. And they just accidentally did it. I mean, these are top political people who looked at what you're doing and who felt that you're really significant as a political person and somebody that really can clean up the sheriff's office.
Absolutely. And that's the thing that I want individuals to know. When you have corrupt leadership, it leads to corrupt deputies or corrupt officers. And we have made it too far to go back now. We have made it way too far. And if they can't get with the program, then they have to go. And the current administration at the sheriff's office has to go so we can have better officers in our sheriff's office, better deputies in our sheriff's office. And the good ones did leave. They fled because they didn't want to be up under that leadership, up under the toxic working environment. Individuals will flee. And the ones that's left is, you know, unfortunately, some of them are the ones that's holding on for dear life. And the other ones are part of the established problems.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk to you all the way up to the election. And then I really look forward to talking to you after the election when you are the sheriff. So that's, you know, not the sheriff of Nottingham. You know, this isn't Robin Hood. This is the sheriff of the city of St. Louis. Really looking forward to this, Alfred. I'm very excited for you, and I know you're going to continue to do the hard work all the way up to the last minute.
Absolutely. And I just want to say that we have outraised our opponent last quarter. We're about 30% in the lead in the polls. And if anyone want to reach out to me, they can just visit my website at Montgomery4sheriff.com. And I hope to see you on the campaign trail. You can visit the website, request yard signs if you live in a city, or you can volunteer with me. Come knock some doors. I knock many doors a day. As a matter of fact, I'm going out in a few to knock some doors or make some calls. Any way that can help. You know, this is not going to be, I'm not going to say it's going to be a walk in the park. We are running against an incumbent, a very corrupt incumbent. My signs are coming down. You know, some property has been destroyed, but we will not stop here. We have work to do, and my hard hat is on.
And knocking on those doors makes an impact. There's no doubt about it. It works.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Well, thank
Alfred,
you, Casey.
Yeah, thank you. And you have a great
Thank
day.
you for having me.
Oh, yeah. We're going to see you soon, many times. Thank you, Alfred.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Okay. That's Alfred Montgomery running for sheriff in the city of St. Louis. And he is former student, but most importantly, a really serious candidate for a very important job. Now, when you talk about serious things, you know, a lot of people think that eating is serious. And I think it is. I mean, you got to take care of yourself. So I'm going to tell you that what you got to do is you got to go to Wendy's when you want to have great meals. And believe me, everything from the smoked meats and the wings and the baby back ribs, which is my favorite, and the onion rings, which I love onion rings. Yeah, they got calories, and I don't like calories, but I love onion rings. I do. They got patty melts and hamburgers and just everything you can imagine. The pizza is great. Wendy's is a terrific place to go. And as I always say, for the price of a meal, you can actually buy yourself a new friend. Just walk in there and say hello to Ben, and you're on his list. It's a good list. Don't worry. You're okay. So that's Wendy's at 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road in Chesterfield Valley. You'll love Wendy's. Now, if you're thinking about getting some new jewelry, there's a place to go to look, to think about any designing of jewelry that you might want to do, or you might just want to see the professionals who can design things for you creatively because they happen to be the best. And that's Al and his son, AJ, and they have Jewels on Hampton at 4506 Hampton, and that's in St. Louis. And I can tell you right now, another place where you're going to meet the owner right at the place of business, because those are the people that care the most about delivering to you the best of what you could want from their business. Jewels on Hampton, they buy and sell coins and jewelry at great prices. They design jewelry. They are creative. But most of all, they are professionals who will be very friendly to you and help you to get what you need at great prices. They love you. So, Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton. Check them out. And finally, you can't go wrong with a good suit and tie. The more I think about it, and I happen to really like Vic Faust. He's a great guy. I see him around all the time. I'm not kidding. I really do. I like him and I respect him. But you know what? He just needs once in a while to get a nice suit and tie on. Really. But what he doesn't know is he doesn't know maybe that he can get a tie at the St. Louis Suit Company for $5. He probably thinks he's got to spend $50 because that's what that grifter Trump will sell it to him for. But no, he can get one right here in Clayton on the corner of Central and Forsyth for $5. Silk ties, beautiful ties. Can't go wrong. And they have suits and shirts and ties and overcoats for the winter and straw hats for the summer. It is a great place to shop for clothing. And by the way, if you're getting married or if you're going to a wedding, this is the place to go to. St. Louis Suit Company is famous for helping people to get through their weddings when it comes to their clothing. So St. Louis Suit Company on the corner of Central and Forsyth in Clayton. They've been there for 29 years, and they'll probably be there for 29 more. They're just great. So check them out, and make sure you check on Jay and Nick when you go there. They're the owner, the son, and the father. Again, just like we always tell you, those are the people who really have the greatest businesses when the owners are there because they care about you. So that's the St. Louis Suit Company in Clayton. Check them out as well. So, Joe Biden, what he's going to have to do, I hope that he'll do this and really be serious. I think he needs some new clothing because I have not seen him in a Gestapo uniform lately. But Donald says he's Donald says he's he's the head of the Gestapo. Go ahead.
His nickname is Scarecrow. You know why?
Scarecrow. Go ahead.
If I only had a brain.
Yeah. See, and they love to tease about Joe and make fun of him and so forth. But here's the thing. He can't be both. He can't be a brainless old man tottering at the same time that he's the head of the top crime family in the United States, as well as the head of the Gestapo. I mean, this guy is busy. He's running his crime family. He's running the Gestapo. He's running the United States of America. And this guy's 80 years old. If we'd have elected him when he was 30 years old, we could have kept him for 50 years and he'd have been tremendous for us. Instead, eventually he's going to have to go because, 80 years old, how long can you stay? 90, 100? Probably not much more than that. So, and at this point, Jost from Saturday Night Live suggested that it's possible, given the two candidates who are in the race, that we really ought to be looking at Jimmy Carter too. He's right around his age range. He could probably handle this 4 years in hospice. He's been in hospice for a long time anyway, and he just keeps on going. So what the heck? Let's just get him in here too. Make him Secretary of State. What the heck? Okay, so if Joe Biden goes to the St. Louis Suit Company, we might be able to get him a little Gestapo uniform. By the way, speaking of the Gestapo, there are people in Wentzville who are so horrible that they bring to mind the Gestapo. And the reason I say it that way is because there was a great article on Sunday in the St. Louis Post-Dispatch about Danielle Tormala. And Danielle Tormala is somebody I've spoken about before. She was previously the superintendent of the Wentzville School District. And I don't know, I guess Danielle lost her mind because she wanted to do some really great things like diversity, inclusion, equity. She wanted people to get along, and she wanted to help the students to understand the world that they live in and how they could fit in with other people and how to make other people feel comfortable living in their communities. And so she was trying to really do the right thing, what we all know to be essential in our schools today. We've got some problems, and we want to make sure that students learn how to work together, live together, and be productive together. However, Wentzville may not have been the best place to try this. Speaking, like I say, of the Gestapo, because Wentzville, first of all, is one of our top areas when it comes to burning books. They are book burners. They are library destroyers, and they're proud of it. They really are. They're banning books because they believe that they know what our kids should read. They know what our kids should learn in school. And as far as professional people like superintendents, they're worthless. Well, maybe I shouldn't say worthless, because worthless implies no monetary value. And let's not forget that Superintendent Tormala may have been persona non grata in Wentzville, but she certainly wasn't worthless. Actually, it turns out that she's worth $1 million, because that's what they had to pay to get rid of her. Now, she wanted out for sure. And as we found out in the article in the Post-Dispatch, one of the reasons that she wanted out was because the good people of Wentzville were threatening to kill her. Well, I mean, that might be something that would, sort of encourage you to maybe make somewhat of a change. You got people calling you on the phone and saying, lady, we're going to kill you. Yeah, that sort of has an impact on people. I remember 50 years ago when John Kennedy was trying to kill Fidel Castro. He ended up running to the Soviets, and we were so surprised. Why would he run to the Soviets over something as small as us saying, we're going to kill you? And, you can go look it up on Wikipedia, and you'll see there, and anywhere else as well, that we tried to kill him 500 times, but we certainly did not succeed. But I guess in the case of Danielle Tormala, she decided that she didn't want to wait for 500 times. She decided to take the $1 million and get out of Dodge. And so that's what she did. And it certainly was effective by having people call her up and say, Danielle, we're going to kill you. Yeah, that's very effective. But at the same time, they did have to pay her $1 million. And the funny thing about that part is, I talked to some teachers today out of Cardinal Ritter. I could give you their names. They don't want to be out on the air here. Although they're at a school where they would not get fired. Okay. Because, teachers around St. Louis and around the United States are fearful that they would be fired by anything. But see, in good schools and good school districts, we don't fire people because, they've got ideas. But at any rate, we were talking about my old friend, Onion Horton, who used to point out the fact that when it comes to white people, here's how they feel. White people feel like this: whatever it takes to hurt a black person or to hurt anybody that's supporting a black person, it's worth it no matter what price you have to pay. I mean, if it costs you $1 million to get rid of a superintendent that supports black people in the district and black rights and black history and black literature, $1 million, it's worth it, because whatever it takes, they're willing. They're willing. It's okay, because if it'll stop blackness, then it's a good thing. It's really a sad part of what we're dealing with, but it's also been a situation that has existed for a very, very long time. This is not new. It's just sad because in 2024, you would have thought that we were so far beyond all of this, but we're not. So Danielle Tormala, we are sorry that you're out of the district, but we're glad that you did get your $1 million, and hopefully it will be enough to protect you from the crazies that cannot control themselves for whatever reason, some reason, but they can't. By the way, we're down to the last 10 minutes, and you could have called before, but you can still call now. The phone number is 314-471-1968 if you'd like to discuss any of the Gestapo things or millions of dollars being spent to get rid of superintendents who are just trying to help students to do better in life, to fit in and understand how society works and all. Yeah, you can call and talk about that. Again, 314-471-1968 if you want to do that. I won't bite off your head. I know it sounds scary sometimes, but it's not that bad. And here's another thing that you can think about. Really sort of interesting. I mentioned it last week, but that the right, the Republican Party, whatever it is, I don't know if you can call it the right, or I'm just not sure. Nobody's really sure. But at any rate, they've got a great idea. They want to monitor women's cycles. Now, I understand that Donald, sort of has tried to take the rough edges off of this, and he says, "Nah, we just want to monitor their pregnancies." Yeah, so you think about it yourself as to how that hits you. How do you feel about that? I mean, he doesn't want to monitor your cycles necessarily. Now, maybe he does, but he says it a little differently. He says he just wants to monitor everybody's pregnancies, so we can find out what they're doing, because there might be something that we don't like. You never know. So we need to make sure. And it's just amazing to me, given some of the things that have been said, and truly, this has risen to levels far beyond some of the things that we had heard back in the first Donald Trump term, which hopefully was the only Donald Trump term. But the thing about it is that he said crazy things back there, and he said bad things about Mexicans and Muslims and so forth. But that is one thing too. He never said bad things about Jews. Well, Jews who didn't vote for him, he said, yeah, he wanted bad things to happen to them. But on the other hand, basically what he did is he came after the Mexicans and the blacks. Although depending on the day, he's trying to get black votes, but then he's talking about blacks poisoning the blood of America. So, that's in there too. It's a complicated story. And once Donald does go off to jail, it will really be interesting as to what kind of research we're able to do. I'm not saying, cut his brain out and research it. I'm just saying that we need to research what's going on in the man's head, because whatever it is beyond bizarre. And Judge Merchan is really sort of beside himself right now. He doesn't know how to deal with what's happening, except for to say that ultimately he's going to have to put Donald in jail, because everything else he's done has not stopped him from witness intimidation and jury tampering, both of which are crimes. However, they are increasingly crimes, given the fact that the judge has specifically told Donald Trump not to do those things. So you tell him not to do it, and you walk away for the weekend, and he gets in front of a microphone, and the first thing he starts doing is threatening the witnesses and threatening the jurors and threatening everybody in sight, including the judge, who is the one who's going to make the decision on whether Donald goes to jail. And it was so interesting. I heard a conversation this afternoon, and it's so ridiculous that we even have to have the conversation that I'm going to relate to you. But we're really here. This is where we are. You got two people trying to figure out whether Donald actually wants to go to jail. Does he want to go to jail, or is he just out of control? That's the question. And for example, a couple of these reporters were pointing out that they had followed Donald on the campaign trail back in the first run for the presidency, and that he was definitely very fearful of germs. And so they were speculating that a man who was as fearful of germs as Donald Trump would really not want to go to jail, that would be the last place that he would want to be, because he would realize that jail would be a place where he would not be able to easily control his access to germs. So, he might want to stay out of jail. And they were suggesting that truly that he is fearful enough of the situation that they just don't believe that he wants to go to jail. Now, there are other people who see it very differently. They think that Donald wants to go to jail because, first, he would like to be a martyr, and second, he would like to get more money because he's sort of running out of money. And money is a very serious issue here. As Joe Biden goes up in the polls, currently in the latest two polls running 4 and 5 points ahead of Donald today. First of all, it shows, as we said at the beginning of the show, it shows a trend, and it's not so much the absolute number that counts. Importantly, it is the trend, and the trend is, well, it's moved like about 12 points in favor of the Joe Biden direction. And I know that really disturbs a lot of people. It doesn't bother Donald because all he's got to say is that he's winning by a landslide in every situation, and then it's okay. But we know that, that's not exactly true. And by the way, 5, 6 points, you start getting up to 7, 8 points in a presidential election. That is a landslide in the United States because, there are a lot of people who would vote for either Joe Biden or Donald Trump simply because they're in the Democratic or Republican Party, but maybe they don't like either one of them. But one group will vote for Donald because they want a right-wing nut, and one group will vote for Joe Biden because they'd like somebody progressive who would try to create a better world. So, those are sort of the two differences that we're dealing with here. But the point is that when we start breaking away from that 50-50 division, that's when you got to start, really taking a look. And so, all of a sudden, here you are, the trend is flipping back so strongly in favor of Joe Biden. That's the key. Look at the next polls that come out. If you're a month or two down the line and Joe Biden is then ahead by 6 or 7 or 8 points, well, then you got to figure that the trend is really important and that something here is really changing. And look, I've told you what is changing, and increasingly people are aware that what I'm saying is 100% true. And that is that women don't want any part of this lunacy. They don't want a man who wants to monitor their pregnancies. They don't want a man who is involved in numerous rape allegations. I say numerous. Numerous really isn't even fair. Numerous would sound like maybe 3 or 4 or 5. Donald's got 19 women who claim that he has raped them, and 2 of those women are currently testifying in Manhattan as part of a trial where, as I said, it's cliche, but the bombshell report from Friday was Hope Hicks. I mean, they're a woman who is not claiming anything bad at all. In fact, she really likes Donald Trump a lot. And in fact, she likes him so much, she broke down crying in the courtroom because it just broke her heart that she had to tell the truth and that we had to find out what Donald has done, which is liable to put him not in jail for a week or 2 weeks as part of a contempt citation, but rather in jail for more like 4 years as part of the sentencing for the trial that he's currently going through. And after Hope Hicks, a lot of people said, that's the home run for Alvin Bragg. And it clearly is. I mean, it's the John Dean of 2024, the White House aide who has stepped up and done something so simple, so very simple. And I really emphasized it on Friday, but in getting off the air here tonight, I just want to mention this again. If you're an American and you get into a courtroom and you have to testify, you're under oath, there's just one thing you have to do. You have to tell the truth. You have to tell the truth. Forget deny, deny, deny. That's not going to work. You got to tell the truth. And that's what Hope Hicks did. She's a great American. And right now, we're going to get off of here so that we can be back tomorrow. I'm Mark Kaysen. This is Showdown. Good night.